everyone, it's Theresa and I have such a special video for you today. It is all about some Ukrainian inspired support projects, something like that. The first one we're going to do here is going to be using this, I believe it's an 8x8 canvas. This one did come from Joann's. I went ahead and cut it all out and I actually painted the back side of the canvas just in some white chalk paint, and now I have this beautiful image that I got from Decoupage Queen on her site. I believe actually a couple of different people shared it, so I saved it and just printed it out on tissue paper, and tell me that is not the most gorgeous thing you've seen. Maybe not ever seen, but pretty darn close, right? So I'm just taking some Mod Podge and I am just going to Mod Podge it straight on to that canvas. I did paint the canvas white. I did a pretty thick coat of that white chalk paint because I wanted to make sure that you get as much of that beautiful color that you're going to get when you put a white behind it. But also I didn't want to pick up too much of the texture. So I do Mod Podge it in some different sections, and I'm going to take my little Mod Podge roller and try and really get it nice and smooth. If there's a little bit of wrinkling, it's okay. It's not the end of the world if there's wrinkles, right? And I'm going to go around the edges with some Mod Podge as well. I am going to be experimenting on some different different decoupaging, not materials, some different decoupaging mediums and stuff here in the future, so be on the lookout for that if decoupage is like your thing. But then I am just going to smooth everything around. I'll trim all around it as well in just a minute. So now I've got that beautiful wood frame. Believe it or not, this is what it comes out looking like, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I did fill in a lot of the holes just because I thought it gave it a little bit nicer finished look. You can leave them if that is so, if that's your choice. It's totally up to you. I did that wood tint, and that is in the color walnut. It is a folk art wood tint. It's water-based, so it dries super fast and does not stink. So that's always a really nice perk of it, you know what I mean? So now what I am going to do is I'm just going to trim it around. I'm going to just kind of draw around with a Sharpie, and then I just go through and trim it, and I keep trimming it until I've gotten it to the point where it's going to fit for the most part. I'll trim up a little bit more after it's all glued down. I'm just going to put some hot glue on there just to get it nice and fixed on there. You can also use a stapler, you can use super glue, whatever kind of glue you have, whatever kind of method you like to do this whole, reverse canvas situation. And once that is done, I'll go through and actually trim it all up with just like a little X-Acto knife, just to make sure that you don't have any bits of the back of it peeking through. And now I'm going to take this Prima Redesign mold as well as their I'm trying to think what it's called. It's not clay. It's like a modeling material, I think. And I'm going to add a little bit of cornstarch to my mold, tap out all of the excess, and then I'll start putting in some of this material in it. That was the best way I could call it. I'm just like, a lot of times I like to experiment with things, try different things out. You guys probably know, if you've been here for a little while, that I really like the IOD mold and clay, but I just like to try different things, see if I like other things better, if I feel like anything's a particularly better value or anything like that. I liked it. It was okay. It was, was I blown away by it? Not really. I mean, I would probably put it like in the same class as the molds and the material as the IOD stuff. So whatever one you find that you like better, I guess. I did do a couple of coats of paint on there. One of them is Nantucket Blue and the other one is Nautical. Both of those are folk art, I think. I'm pretty sure. They're either folk art or they're Waverly, but I'm pretty sure they're folk art. And now I'm taking this folk art acrylic gold paint and just kind of going over it a little bit. I wanted just to throw in the butterflies just because it was something a little different, It's obviously, with this all being Ukraine stuff, everything is going to have that blue, or a blue, maybe not the exact same shade of blue, but blue and yellow, or some sunflowers, or apparently the butterflies. Butterflies aren't necessarily, a thing with them, but I thought that they were a pretty little thing to add. and I am just going over all of those little areas that are kind of raised up on the butterflies. I went a little heavy on one of them. If you'll notice, there's a blue one up in the top or left-hand side, and I went a little berserk. And then I was checking them out, trying to figure out which ones I liked the best, and I ended up settling on these two lighter ones. They are both the Nantucket blue. I'm telling you, I'm having a hard time remembering those names today. Don't worry, I get into a lot more blues and stuff in towards like the later part of spring into summer. I don't know what it is, but just for me, the transitional time between spring and summer is the perfect time for blue. You have to let me know in the comments below if you have particular colors that are synonymous with seasons to you. But here it is, all finished. I think it turned out so pretty. You'll have to let me know what you think. So if you're new here, my name is Theresa, and I do all kinds of different DIYs. And today is a super special day, like I said, because we are doing all themed around the colors blue and yellow for Ukraine. Now, say whatever you want about it, whatever you think, political stuff aside. I think it's just a nice thing to kind of bring the attention to, show our support. And along with myself, I've got my dear friend Bree from Bree's Arts, who is hosting our little playlist today, and Brenda from Monner's Market. Both of their channels are going to be listed for you below, and you can definitely go ahead and check them out. Check out the playlist. It'll all be listed in the description box. All right, we're going to jump into the next one. Now, this is kind of like a flashback. I don't know what to call it. It's actually a project I've already done, but this is a thrifted piece of gorgeousness I found, and it is kind of like a little canister. It's super gorgeous, super rustic. I didn't want to do too much to it. Now again, this is from a previous video. I'll have that original video listed below, but I'm using these rub-on transfers from Folk Art. They're all sunflowers. They're gorgeous. I love them. I'm going to show you a couple of different things. I'm just real quick just going to do one here showing kind of how you do it. It's as the name would suggest. You rub on top of the transfer and it transfers the image. Now, I have this one I've made, obviously, in the past, and I think, you know what, I'm going to just add a little touch of color. I'm going to try and use this crackle medium. It didn't work out for me, guys. You guys will have to let me know, what do I do wrong? I'm thinking it's because I didn't let everything dry all the way. I don't really know. So I've got the wood handle, and I believe I did that in the walnut stain as well, because I think it was not quite that dark. I do not recall. It was probably almost a year ago that I made that original video. But I'm going to take that crackle medium, and I will eventually, once I get it open, do one coating of it on the wooden handle part. And I believe there's directions told you not to overlap. So I'm trying really hard not to overlap and not to have this thing spin all over the place. So I do that. And then I let it dry. I probably didn't let it dry 100%. Let me know if you've used this product in the past, if this is the reason it had a problem or what. And then I'm going to take the nautical chalk paint from Folk Art, and again, trying to do one coat, not overlapping as much as possible, because this little guy kept turning around. I was trying not to get it on the metal, and it was a whole thing. So I do that coating of it, and I was like, okay, let it dry and watch it work. And eventually what you'll see here in a second is I hit it with my heat gun, thinking, okay, I remember seeing Sammy from Unicorn Dust Designs did this, and it just pulls it, pulls it out, and it makes a crackle. And it's like magic. And it's not doing it because I did something wrong. You guys, let me know if you've used it with success. Let me caveat with that. If you've used it with success, let me know what I did wrong. It kind of bubbled up a little bit, but I think that was more from the heat than it was really from the crackle medium. So I was like, you know what? Fine. Decide not to work for me. I'm just going to sand it down. So I just take my finger sander and I'm just going to sand it up, making it a little more chippy looking, and of course, making a gigantic mess in the process. But that is okay because it turns out really pretty. I'm really happy with that little, touch of blue that got added in there. So on to our next one. Now the next one, I solicited a lot of help. I did that actually on a lot of these projects today. I asked for help. On the first one, I had like coloring help, not coloring, like coloring in anything, but you know what I mean? Like the color choices. I had help from Jamie, from what's Jamie making? And then on this one, I'll show you in a second what part I had to ask for help 2 times from different people. But anyways, I remove the little wreath around the O. Now this little guy came from the Dollar Tree. I happened to come across him, and apparently he is hard to find. So here you go. Here's an idea of what to do with it when you find it, because you will, right? That's what you have to be. Be positive. All right, so I did a quick coating of the Nantucket chalk paint. I'm having a really rough time with those names today. And then I'm going to go around and do just a little bit of the antique wax just around the edges of all of the letters, just to kind of, give it a little something. You guys know, if you've been here for a little while, that I love my antique wax. I'm trying not to put it on everything. But sometimes I can't help myself. You probably know that. And ignore that big old sunflower that's right there in the O. I changed my mind later on in the video. You'll see the final one in a minute. But I have my IOD stamps with my black IOD ink, and this is a gorgeous, huge sunflower. So I'm just going to stamp that guy right in the bottom. Press nice and firm. Now, mind you, I have already conditioned it. If you don't know what the heck I'm talking about, check out IOD. I will list them below if I remember, and they'll tell you all about what all that is. But then I'm going to take some watercolors. They're just kind of fun. I don't know what it is, but lately I've been having a lot of fun with different watercolors and the color choices and getting it the right way. That was some advice from my dear friend Jamie from Simple Roots, Simple Living. I talk to her probably daily, and I'm not even exaggerating. And now I am going to put it up on this base because I was like, what do I do with this? So my friend CJ actually helped me, and I'll have all of those channels listed for you below too, because they're absolutely amazing DIYers, and they're amazing. They're great friends. They're always there for me. I'm sure you guys probably have that too. People that you DIY that are in your group, your buddies that DIY as well, that always are good for advice. Don't mind my head. I couldn't help it. I had to get it in there so I could really see. So I need to get my hair colored, but that's okay. Fun fact, I am probably like 90% gray. You wouldn't know it, but I am. I'm like 90% gray. And it's not a cute gray. It's like a dingy gray. So anyways, I'm adding some dowel rods onto the back that I've cut to kind of fit, just hot gluing them. I hot glued the actual little lettering to that base as well. That base is just one of those rectangular things from Dollar Tree, sanded down and painted with the ink chalk paint from Waverly. And now that it's nice and fixed, I wanted to make sure it had a few minutes to kind of get, on there so it's not gonna just fall over when I start to add in my greenery. That was CJ's tip, by the way. She was like, add greenery. I think she adds greenery to a lot of things, so that might be her standard thing. Kind of like my standard thing is add antique wax. So I did, in fact, put it on a base and add some greenery. Thank you very much, CJ. Your advice is always wonderful. And then I'm just going to add these little bits. I want to say this greenery is from Joann's, probably last year around springtime. It's a great time of year to get all of your greenery stuff that you're going to use on a regular basis any time of year, right? It's good no matter when. And again, I'm like all up in the camera angle right now. It's just the way it's going to be. I just kind of keep adding on layer and layer and layer of it, hot glue all over the place. But I am also kind of trimming off the little excess on the greenery where it kind of attaches to like the larger stem. It just seems to work better for me that way. And I'll be honest, it looks a little wild and crazy. But here in a minute when you see it, I think it kind of comes together. It looks super cute. I think it just adds just the perfect touch. And here it is, all finished up. Like I said, I think the greenery added the right touch. The sunflower on there, it just looks gorgeous. You have to let me know what you think. On to our last one. I have this, I don't even know what to call it, container. It's ceramic. It is hefty, let me tell you. And it's in this really pretty gray color, and I was like, yeah, it's pretty and all, but we're going to do something else to it. I've got the white chalk paint, is I believe white Adirondack from Folk Art. I was originally going to use the foam roller because I want it pretty smooth, because we're going to Mod Podge on top of it. We're going to do some decoupage with actually that same print that I've already used in the first project. I loved it that much that I needed to make another project with it. But I want it pretty smooth, and I was going to use the foam roller, but it just was not working for me, so I switched over to the paintbrush, which made double the cleanup. But it's okay. You do what you have to, right? And then I'm just going to try to clean up on the sides a little bit because originally I was like, should I leave it the way it is or not? I end up, I don't think I show it, painting it in the same black ink chalk paint from Waverly. Yes. Now, same situation just like before. Mod Podge on the top of it. Now this is weird. It actually dips down a little bit in the middle. I think it's very strange. I got it on clearance from Target like right after the holidays. Apparently this was Christmas. I don't know why this was Christmas, but apparently it was. So I'm just going to do Mod Podge on the entire thing, plop down my image, and you see what I mean by the difference? You can see it here of it on the white background. It just makes everything absolutely gorgeous and pop so wonderfully. Then I'm going to do the same sanding situation that I did before. Like I said, I did the black chalk paint, and then I'm going to take some antique wax and just kind of blend it in all around the edges. There were a couple spots you could still see some of the white, so I wanted just to get a nice little blend on it. I just felt like it kind of brought everything a little bit better together. And now I'm thinking, you guys will have to let me know, I actually just ordered a mold, a sunflower mold from IOD, and I'm thinking about putting it along the side. Let me know what you think. What should I do around the outside of it? Because it's not quite done. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please go check out my friends that I mentioned in the video, my friends that are also doing their Ukraine-inspired projects. And let me know if you're new here. I would love to meet you, and I will see you next time.